Flashback.
It makes sense that no great nation can be in a position where they can't control their borders. It matters how you control your borders, not just for immigration, but it matters for drugs, terror, a whole range of other things. So that's the first sort of truism. The second truism is that this nation is such that people in the country should have the first opportunity to be able to have jobs that pay well. And
a few years later,
this exclusive video. Migrants illegally crossing into the U.S. right through a gap in the border wall in Luckville, Arizona. At one point, you could even see a suspected smuggler poke through the wall and pull out a camera. This comes just days after the Biden administration reopened the legal port of entry in Luckville.
From all parts of the political spectrum, one of the biggest issues that we have when it comes to immigration is the fact that we have an undocumented population. Mm-hmm. Now, you can fix that by trying to build a wall, or you can fix that by trying to document people and create a path to citizenship. Mm-hmm. And we'll have folks that might say, look at these systems, you know, that our shelter system has weight and things like that. But one of the reasons that our public systems experience weight is because people don't have a documented and reliable path to work and sustain themselves, just like all of our ancestors did, and our grandparents and great-grandparents.
All right, guys, so on this episode of the Democrat Clown Show, when it comes to the illegal immigration crisis, what you just saw there was AOC admitting the quiet part out loud about what Democrats want to do with illegal immigrants. Okay, they are undocumented, and AOC's solution to the problem is not to deport them, to actually enforce the laws on the books, because a lot of these people are not actually really here seeking asylum. They're not true asylum seekers. They're economic migrants trying to come to America to seek better opportunity, jobs, which again is not a legitimate reason to be allowed into the country the way that they're being allowed into the country. But her solution, instead of deporting them for breaking the law, is to document them, right? Just document them, okay? AKA amnesty, okay? Allow them to stay here permanently, okay? Allow them to vote, basically make them full-blown citizens, right? That's eventually what they want to do, okay? Because of the votes, right? This is votes that people like AOC will get, Democrats will get. Also on top of that, even though they're here illegally now, they do have an impact on our elections. Even though they can't vote, they still have an impact because they do count towards the census, okay? When we're talking about the population of a state, which means that they have an effect on electoral votes and how states redistrict their maps, okay? So again, they do have an effect on the voting system, and that effect is largely in favor of Democrats, okay? This is why people like AOC are coming out and telling you that, hey, you know, we want to change these undocumented immigrants to documented, okay? She's telling you out loud exactly what she wants to do, okay? She doesn't want to deport them. She doesn't want to send them back to where they came from. No. I want to document them, okay, and put them to work so that they can continue to drive down wages for the workers that they are going to replace, okay? This is the Democrat plan, okay? This is the strategy. She's saying it out loud. So with that being said, we have to talk about the clown show in Chicago and their clown mayor, okay, Brandon Johnson, who is continuing his victimhood tour on television, boohoo, whining and crying about Texas Governor Greg Abbott sending sanctuary cities like Chicago, New York, Denver, exactly what they asked for, which are illegal immigrants, okay? But they're boohoo, whining and crying now that they got exactly what they asked for because the federal government is not stepping in to help them with their situation by allowing the illegals to work and granting them amnesty immediately, okay? So he's begging Biden to send him some money, right? To send him some taxpayer dollars, arguing that, hey, we shouldn't have to deal with this on our own at the state and local level. Only Texas should have to do that, right? This is what they're saying, okay? We need money, and we also need to allow the illegals to work, okay? We're ready for them to replace the blacks, right? In these neighborhoods that we're putting them in, okay? Because that's what they're doing, okay? They're putting the illegal immigrants in black neighborhoods because the intent is for the illegal immigrants to start working and to take the jobs, right? This is exactly what they want to do, okay? So the black residents of Chicago have caught on to this, okay? And they're protesting Brandon Johnson. So what does Brandon Johnson do in response? He essentially is trying to throw out the whole, well, I'm going to study reparations card, right? Which is exactly what Democrats do every single time they're trying to get the black vote, right? Here comes an election year, right? Brandon Johnson, his approval rating is in the tank. So now he's trying to talk about studying reparations and potentially giving black people a check for being black, right? Which again is just a vote buying scheme. That's exactly what it is. So I want to react to Brandon Johnson, boohoo, wine and crime racism, and then talking about reparations. So without further ado, let's get into it.
No, it puts a tremendous burden on you and other Democratic mayors. I might add, many black mayors has been the focal of this. In fact, on Thursday, New York City Mayor Eric Adams filed a $700 million lawsuit against 17 charter bus companies who transported migrants from Texas. What are your thoughts about the case, and is this an action you would consider taking as well?
Well, look, you're absolutely right about the intentions of Governor Abbott. He is attacking democratically ran cities, and particularly cities that are being led by black leaders or leaders of color.
Wow. Does this count towards Denver as well, too? Right? Does that include Denver, who this guy went on television with? Okay. Him, Eric Adams, the mayor of Denver, okay, which is a sanctuary city. He's white. Okay. He's a white guy. Okay, and they always boohoo, whining, and crying about getting illegals. Now, again, if Greg Abbott is such a racist and he's only targeting black mayors, why is he sending them to Denver? Okay, it just so happens that a lot of these major sanctuary cities are being led by black folks, right? Also just so happens that these cities are shitholes, okay? So again, I'm not saying that correlation equals causation here. I'm just saying there's a lot of correlation here in regards to the leaders, the skin color of these leaders versus the current state of the cities. Now, again, come to whatever conclusion you want when it comes to whether or not skin color has anything to do with it. But Greg Abbott is not just sending illegal immigrants to cities led by black mayors. He's also sending them to sanctuary cities led by white mayors as well, too. Okay, so it really hasn't got anything to do with your race as much as it has to do with the fact that you are a sanctuary city. But again, this is what race hustlers like Brandon Johnson and Al Sharpton do. Instead of actually addressing the real issue, which is that Chicago is a sanctuary city and they've declared that they welcome illegal immigrants, right? This is what Brandon Johnson ran on and black people voted for him anyways. Instead of addressing that, no. Greg Abbott's a racist, right? This is why he's sending us illegal immigrants. He's racist, okay? He's targeting me because I'm black. And it's funny because this same logic apparently doesn't apply to Joe Biden in regards to him denying these cities help, okay? You notice how he's begging the federal government for help. He won't really criticize Biden, okay? But he'll criticize Texas Governor Greg Abbott, calling him a racist. But he won't call Biden a racist for refusing to help out the black-led cities, right? Again, amazing how that works. He won't accuse Biden of being a racist, okay, for refusing to help him out. But he'll accuse Greg Abbott of being a racist for sending these sanctuary cities exactly what they asked for. Again, it's just hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. It's more hilarious than this guy's mohawk here, which, again, should have told you everything you need to know. A grown man wearing a mohawk, how can you vote for this individual? I don't get it. I don't understand.
This is unconscionable. It's a very raggedy approach. And quite frankly, not only is it reckless and raggedy, but it is evil-spirited. And so what we've done in the city of Chicago, I've passed an ordinance that calls for three things. One, that the state of Texas coordinate with the city of Chicago while buses are being sent to the city of Chicago. And so what we've asked is that the various cities apply for a permit. Drop the buses off at one particular landing zone between the hours of 8 and 5:30, Monday through Friday, and then provide us what a complete manifest so that we can better prepare.
Yeah, so again, what he's asking for is a luxury that Texas doesn't get, okay? Texas doesn't get the luxury of being provided a notice in advance and all of this coordination when the illegals show up to the border, right? Texas just has to deal with it. Again, notice how he's never talked whatsoever about what Texas has to deal with and the lack of coordination when it comes to the federal government helping them deal with the crisis, okay? But when it comes to his city, though, oh, well, we need coordination and we need to know ahead of time and you need to apply for a permit. Again, this is a bureaucratic process that allows Chicago to have controlled illegal immigration into their city, a luxury that Texas doesn't get. Okay, so he's asking Texas to do something for them that Texas doesn't get. That's a benefit they don't get. Again, it's amazing how that works. So I don't blame Greg Abbott for basically ignoring that and saying, you know what, we're going to send the illegals any way that we can, whether it's through air, train, bus. Hell, might start sending them through the seas, right? Especially in New York City. Might start sending them on a boat, okay? I don't blame him for doing it because he doesn't get the luxury of having coordinated illegal immigration into the state. But these cities want a luxury that Texas doesn't get. But they never come up here and express any type of sympathy for what Texas and the border towns are going through when it comes to illegal immigration crisis. In fact, when Texas and the border towns complain about it, oh, it's racist, right? You're a bigot because you don't want to take care of the illegals. But when they kick, scream, and cry about having to take care of illegal immigrants, oh, well, you should feel bad for us. Okay, let's actually have a sobbing party over what we're going through. It's a strain on our resources. Our social safety net can't handle it. We need taxpayer money. This is what they do. But this guy has never demanded that the Biden administration actually solve the problem, which is to close the border. In fact, he's advocating for policies that are going to make the problem worse. Okay? Again, this is why I say Republicans cannot compromise with the Biden administration on illegal immigration. They don't have to. They don't need to. They have all the support in the world from the American people in regards to closing the border. Okay? This is Trump's strongest strength going into the 2024 election. They don't have to compromise. They should demand that the border be closed. In fact, we should be sending the military to the border. But we should not do amnesty, and we need mass deportations. If you give the Democrats what they want in Brandon Johnson's ideal world, if he got everything that he wanted, this country would be Venezuela, right? That's exactly what it will be. Okay, it'll be a mix of Africa, Venezuela, Haiti, right? So it'll be all these other countries, right? This is what it will be, because you have illegals coming from all over the world into the United States because they know that the border is open. And basically anybody that comes to the border and says, hey, I'm a refugee, or that, you know, I'm an asylum seeker, they're being let in. They're being let in. They're all being let in. It's insane.
For these migrants. And as you've indicated, many of them are coming to the city of Chicago and throughout the entire country in very desperate, dire straits. They're
Lie. Again, they're economic migrants. A lot of these people are not actually really asylum seekers.
They just need so much support. There's no health screenings at the border, no vaccinations. There's not a very clear approach to how we actually put these families onto a pathway of sustainability. And so the ordinance that I passed, other cities around the city of Chicago have passed that ordinance, again, just to bring some structure and some coordination. I know Mayor Adams signed an executive order to do just the same thing in the city of New York. And as far as this particular lawsuit, look, I think we have to do everything possible to bring some coordination and some structure around this mission.
Yeah.
And absent the act of Congress to invest in this mission, again, our local economies will not be able to sustain this mission.
Because the lack of coordination, as you raise in your ordinance, I've seen where when Mayor Adams in New York made particular specifications in terms of time drop-offs and all with these buses, they just dropped them off in New Jersey. And I saw clips where you talked about they dropped some migrants off 100 miles away and told them they were dropping them off in Chicago. So there needs to be some real coordination here.
Yeah, the only coordination that there needs to be is coordination on mass deportations, right? That's what actually really needs to happen. Anything short of that, you're just making the problem worse. Again, if Democrats had it their way, the border would be flooded. I mean, it's already flooded, right? But I'm talking about, like, you have millions of people showing up on a monthly basis, okay? On a monthly basis trying to get into this country. If Democrats had it their way, because it would be open season. If Democrats granted work authorization, amnesty across the board, all of the aid and money that they want to put into taking care of the illegals, the processing, the paperwork to be able to get them in here faster, not securing the border, bruh. It would be an absolute disaster, okay? Just listening to these people, if you listen to the Democrats in regards to what they want to do with illegal immigration, that is like, if there's one reason not to vote for Democrats, it is that. Because I guarantee you, the problem is going to get a hell of a lot worse in 2024 right now, because illegals are going to try to come to the border in mass to be able to get in while they still can, while Biden is in office, especially considering how it looks like Trump, if the election was held today, he's going to win in a landslide. So as it gets closer to the election, so many illegals are going to come to the border hoping that they can get in before Trump gets back in office, right? That's what's about to happen. It's going to get a lot worse. It's going to get a whole lot worse. I promise you.
Let me go to this. Your new budget includes a significant amount allocated towards improving social services for low and working class people in Chicago, and notably $500,000 for a new panel that will study whether and how the city should pay reparations to Chicagoans who are descendants of enslaved African Americans. Can you talk a little about how the reparations study will work?
Look, absolutely. You spent some time in Chicago and you know the history of the civil rights movement and the city of Chicago. As we prepare to celebrate the life and the legacy of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., he came to the city of Chicago fighting for housing, fighting for public accommodations, and his words still ring true today. If we can figure it out in Chicago, we can do it anywhere in the world. And that's the impetus behind this study. Look, black folks have been stuck at the margins for generations. I've been a part of social movements working alongside of you and, of course, Reverend Jackson. Schools have been closed in the city of Chicago throughout the country. Health clinics have been shut down throughout the city of Chicago. In my budget, I do a couple of things. I reopen mental health clinics, and we stand up a brand new office for reentry. Individuals who are returning from jails and incarceration, we are standing up an entire office to make sure that we're investing in these families. This is very much part of the legacy of the new Jim Crow. And so this study for restoration and reparations is really to right the wrongs of a very, very evil, bad past. And as Dr. King said, we're going to figure it out in Chicago and be a model for the rest of the country.
Yeah, so the real impetus for reparations, the study, is the okie doke, the same okie doke that they pulled out in California, where they say, look, we're going to study reparations, right? And they had all these black people show up to these useless meetings where they, demand $5, $6, $7 million each in reparations. And you had, these people that were on these councils, these reparation councils, that were recommend to the state that, hey, black people get $5 million each for reparations. And then the state and Gavin Newsom came out and said, we're not going to do that, right? But, hey, thanks for wasting your time and allowing us to get some votes off these black people that think voting for Democrats is actually going to result in a cash handout of reparations. And that's exactly what Brandon Johnson is doing here, right? This is what they do every single time. They pull it out. Well, we're going to study reparations, right? We're going to study it, okay? We're not going to actually give it to you, but we're going to study it. And this is what he's doing in order to try to get black folks to be okay with what's happening right now with the current illegal immigration crisis in Chicago, right? Don't worry about the fact that we're putting the illegal immigrants in your neighborhoods and, we're using up your resources in order to take care of them. Don't worry about that. We're studying reparations, okay? We're studying reparations. Again, it's the old okie doke. It is the tried and true playbook from the Democrats in order to try to save themselves from losing the black vote, right? These people are so predictable. They're so predictable. So with that being said, Mayor Brandon Johnson continues his boohoo whining and crime fest, but Democrats are making it clear what they want, okay? I'm telling you, these people, if you let them have their way, especially when it comes to this topic of illegal immigration, this country will basically turn into a mixture of Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia, right? That's exactly what's about to happen, okay? I promise you that will be the result of voting for Democrats and continue to have these people in office. I guarantee you. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.